Hey, what's going on guys? It's me, Aiden, from Cartoon Apocalypse, and welcome to Miraculous Ladybug Season 4 Leaks Buster, the series where I go through some leak from Miraculous Ladybug and determine if it's true or false. First, I'll talk about the leak and some of its history, and then I'll go through why I think it's false. And finally, I'll try to recreate the leak so that you can see the process that these fake leakers are going through to try to trick you, so maybe you can avoid these in the future. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the leak in question. So this leak is supposedly Lila holding the butterfly Miraculous. Now as far as its history goes, I'm not sure who originally uploaded it, but what I can say is the inspiration for it. There is another supposed leak on more episode titles for Season 4, and in one of those leaks, they talk about how Lila gets in contact with Hawkmoth and eventually gets handed over the butterfly Miraculous, and that was the inspiration for this supposed leak. So when people make leaks, they try to distract the viewer to get them to not realize what fully is going on. And we can see that illustrated fairly well when the creator of this supposed leak circled around Lila's armbands. Not to mention, this photo is very zoomed in, it's a perfect square, there's nothing else, and that's another thing that leakers really try to get you with, is they try to only put in the picture a very minimal amount, so it's hard for you to prove that something is false. But now let's go ahead and talk about why specifically this leak is fake. So first, let's point out a big major error in this post. We can see on Lila's armbands that the knots are sticking outward, and this makes sense since she's holding the butterfly Miraculous with her left hand. However, let me bring to your attention that she always wears her armbands on her right hand, and she has never switched her armbands from one hand to the left, so instantly that's a red flag. Another thing to look for here is the change in colors. We can see that part of her hand is lighter and the other part is darker. Now normally this would also be a big red flag. However, upon further investigation, which most people won't go through, I have determined that this change in color is actually from the original photo, so that's not an error on the leaker's part, that's actually something in the original photo, which you'll see if you watch me recreate this leak. And I do want to mention that the thumb proportions look really off, but that is also actually in the original photo, and we know Miraculous can get kind of weird with that stuff, so that's also a pass for this. But other than those little details, this leak is fairly well made. The creator did a pretty good job of fabricating the box onto Lila's hand, and the lighting matches up pretty well as well. So overall, on a leaker's perspective, this is pretty well made. It's also got that stereotypical blur to it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and hop into Photoshop and show you just how this leak was made. So first, I'm gonna start by dragging in the original image that this leaker used. And as you can see, this instantly resembles the image. The only difference is this one's flipped, and that's exactly how they accomplished this. So to start off, we're just gonna start by flipping this image. We're gonna go flip horizontal, and already, if we drag in the original image, that looks really similar. Let's actually go ahead and pull this guy in here and just match it up. This is very similar. So upon further inspection, I can tell that they used a little bit of a different screenshot here, because if we take a look at this here, we can see that this is a little different in comparison to what I have. So I have a very similar photo, it's just probably a different screenshot of some kind from the same episode. And by the way, this original photo is from the episode Oni-chan, so that's there for you if you want it. I don't know, that's just where this originally came from. So originally I was focused on getting this correctly centered and stuff, but since I'm using a little bit of a different screenshot, it's not going to line up perfectly, so I'm just going to line that up about there, change the opacity a little bit, and you can see as I scroll this back and forth, you can tell how it's basically the same image. So I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate this and use it as a reference over here. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and drag in the original image that they used for the Peacock Miraculous, and that's this image right here. And if we just go ahead and downscale this a little bit here, you can see that this is the correct image because this right here is only here. And you can also see that conveniently, this area is cropped off, so we don't even have to see this. And another thing that I noticed, which is weird, is they decided to take out this little logo right here. I don't know why. There's also a version of this screenshot when his thumb is right here, so maybe that's why. Maybe this was to cover up the thumb. But either way, this is the same image, and again, this is flipped. So if we flip it like this and rotate it a little bit, we can see that, hey, this looks pretty similar because it is similar. So if we just take the opacity down a little bit, fit it onto here, whoa, it looks pretty close. So yeah, I'm not going to get it perfect, but basically you get the gist. It's the same photo. And this episode right here is from the collector. So if that's to any use to you, this is from the collector. Now I'm not going to lie, this image really stumped me for a while because I didn't know exactly where it was from. Originally, I had thought that this image right here was where they got it from, but upon further inspection, you can tell that, well, no, there is a little bit of a difference here. And this episode was Queen Wasp, I think it was. So, yeah. That's there if you want it. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at how they're going to remove the background of this image. Now first, you have to rasterize the layer if you're in Photoshop. Now there are a couple different ways of actually getting rid of this image, but I'm going to first start off by kind of going around like this because we don't need the hand. So I'm going to go around like this, select inverse, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete. And I forgot that I zoomed in, so there's still some stuff here. So now after cleaning this up, we have our base image. Now, first, I'm going to create a mask. So now after we've created the mask, we can go right click on it and hit select and mask. And then now with the brush tool selected, we can actually go in and take out some of this image. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and remove all of this background. So there we have it. Now we have a very sloppy, might I say, rasterized version of the Butterfly Miraculous. Now obviously, I kind of rushed through this because, I mean, let's be honest here, I'm not really trying to create the leak, I'm just trying to recreate the leak. So not necessarily trying to make it the best, but what we could do to combat some of this is shift the edge a little bit. And if we do that, actually, wrong way. If we go this way, we'll see, oh, okay, well, it did move it a little bit, but not enough to make a big difference. So, I mean, I guess that does help a little bit. Then we can also smooth this out. Ah, there we go. We can see that that made a big difference right there. So, the zoom thing on this is a little wonky. So, now, let's see here. Feather. Just trying to experiment to see if any of these make it look a little nicer. And not too much there. Edge detection. That doesn't do too much either. Oh, yes it did. So just with a few of those modifications, we can see that it does look instantly better. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And whoops. Now we have our outlined little thing here, box. And there is a little mistake here, so I'm actually going to get rid of, whoops, wrong color. I'm gonna get rid of that right there, just to clean it up a little bit more. Okay, that looks good, I would say. So now let's go ahead and get rid of that. And so this is placed in here. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at this again. Okay, so the box is a bit smaller, I would say. Well, actually, this should be blown up more. Something about maybe, you see, it's a different frame. So maybe just not judging it based off of that too much. But it looks like the box is maybe about right here. And if we take a look here with this out of the way, we can see that the box extends a little bit more out there. So I'm going to move that this way, rotate it a little bit. Wait, whoops, I am facing it to this. So maybe about right there, I would say is about good. And then I'll actually rotate this more because if we take a look at this guy, actually let's use this one because this is our reference image here. We got, this thumb is really long. And if we just try to base it like that, we can see that that gets it pretty well. I would say maybe this goes down a little bit more. But not too much. Maybe this is just scaled down a little bit. And brought up tad. Rotated. Okay, anyway, you get the point here. Next, what we've got to do is actually remove the phone. So now I'm going to rasterize this layer. And what I'm actually going to do for this is, since we don't need this, I'm just going to go around this selection very roughly. I'm not trying to get it perfect because, again, this is just, we're trying to recreate the leak here. And I'm going to select this area. Now, this is not selecting this. This is just selecting the lower layer. And then I'm going to fill and then content aware and see what that kind of brings us. And boom, we can see that that instantly removed the phone. Now, obviously, there are some pretty big errors here, but we can easily fix that up with this content aware tool. And for this, I'm actually going to go ahead and take the blur tool, blur this a little bit, and we now have our little error fixed here. And now I'm going to do the same fill tool trick with down here. Oh, okay, so we can see that that actually made it worse. So then I'm going to just try selecting this little part here instead. And we can see that that looks much better. So now I'm actually going to take this and blur it in to the hand a little bit, not sacrificing it too much, but just so that you can see that, hey, we're making some changes. Then we're also going to need to move this over, and then if we just combine that, you can't even tell, especially when this is why leaks are so blurry, or supposed leaks I should say, because a lot of this stuff, when you're making it, it doesn't look like it's super accurate, because like, oh well, this is all just one tone and this looks kind of mushed together, but when you zoom out and it's really blurry, you cannot tell a difference. So that's why leaks are so blurry, because that's how they trick you guys, is they just make it blurry so that you can't tell what's going on. So if we go like this here, zoomed out, you can hardly tell that anything's happened. And even like this is obviously not very well done. And with the patch tool, we can go ahead and select this area and apply the same texture to it, and boom. Now that instantly makes it look like this area over here so that you cannot tell anything has happened. So now I'm gonna go ahead and draw a box to see sort of where we are in this perspective, because obviously we don't see this entire thing. And so let's just say this, even this is cut off. It's extremely cut off here. So let's say right around there. That's about where we're seeing here. And what I'm actually going to do is make the stroke black and make the fill none, so that way we can see the stroke only, and so we can see like the little box that we see. So there we have it. Inside this box is what the viewer sees. And if we actually put this box around here, whoops, here, you can see that this box itself, it's pretty convincing. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Now what I would do next is add in the little purpley effects here. And now there are tons of different ways of accomplishing this, but I'm actually just going to take a new layer, and I'm going to pick a purplish color. I don't know what kind of purple, but something like that. And I'm going to go up here to my brush tool and then select something that's very light. And then I'm going to blow up this brush quite a bit. Now I'm just going to start painting over this, because you can see that it kind of emanates out. And so I'm going to go around like this, and then it's really just around this area, I think. And then sort of over here too. And I don't know, we'll just kind of put it all over here. And then what I'm actually going to do is drop the opacity of that quite a bit, so that you can tell that there's something going on, but it's not like it's overwhelming to where it's like, oh wow, there's definitely something going on. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over here to image adjustments and adjust the levels, because you can see that this brightness is crazy up there, and this almost looks pure white in this image. So we're going to go in and just fiddle around with this stuff, because it doesn't look, it looks pretty off. So I don't actually like the look of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the curves and adjust the curves. And then this should give me an effect more of what I'm looking for. So now I have this lightness effect that they applied, and we can see that there is a little bit of weird stuff going down here, and that is actually due to Lila's hand. So we're just actually going to take that out, because we have the power to. Now obviously this isn't perfect, this is very rushed, but you can see here that we basically have recreated this exact image. We can even add in the old circly-do here. Let's see here, it goes about here and circles all around here, and boom, we have added the circle, completing this leak. So that is exactly how this leak was created. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leak Buster, where we went through this leak and busted it. But that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy, you can leave a like and subscribe for more content similar to this. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know, because this was a fun video to make, and if you want to see more episodes of Leak Buster, then you can let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
All the girls are fighting over him, no one's fighting over me, yet I'm so much more sophisticated.